Hey everybody, Matt here with Angry American Dads. Last night my wife and I were going over our grocery bill, which I'm sure like everybody else has at least doubled. Also, did a quick scan of the news this morning and it just helped drive everything home for me. So I just thought I'd do a quick little blurb and make a suggestion. As dads, as moms, as parents, we need to be preparing for the future for ourselves, for our kids, teaching them skills, doing all these things. And I know I've mentioned preparing before and taking care of stuff, and I am no prepper guru or gardening guru or farming guru, but I feel this is something that just needs to be brought up in a small, and give you kind of a small example, kind of like what we do. Now, we live in the country, and I know this isn't feasible for everybody, but there's almost always options that can be done that will get you similar results. Like in our case, you can see behind me, like this right here, these two are elderberry bushes, those two are raspberry bushes, and we grow, they're in big tractor tires, and they actually do quite well and produce quite well. I'm sitting on the edge of a raised bed that has potatoes, that's got green beans, and this has got green beans in it. We get a lot of green beans out of it, believe it or not. And we also have, you can't see it in the camera right now, but on the other side, we have started a blueberry patch that is 8 different blueberry bushes. Now, I understand that's not feasible if you live suburbs or anything along those lines. Now, here we don't have any livestock or anything like that, but in my case, I'm extremely lucky. My parents live right next door, and they have a small farm. We raise beef, chickens, get eggs, we'll raise pigs, that kind of stuff. I grew up doing that. For me, that's not a huge deal, but for somebody else getting into it, it can be kind of overwhelming, and I understand that. But there's a lot of resources out there to get into it. And even if you do live, like I started to mention, if you live somewhere in the suburbs or something like that, or even into a city and you're like, well, I can't grow this stuff, I can't do this, there's ways to do it. There's container gardening and so on and so forth. For instance, on our back patio, we have 2 large planter pots that have dwarf blueberry bushes in them, and they produce a lot of blueberries, surprisingly. If you had 3 or 4 of those, you get a lot of blueberries, especially if you're one person doing something along those lines. And you're able to freeze them, make different, you can eat them of course as blueberries, but you can also make preserves and everything else. There's a ton of information out there on how to do this, even with the livestock too. And living in the suburbs, if you have the ability, you could have a couple of chickens, you could have meat rabbits. And that may seem kind of strange at first, but believe it or not, as far as I'm concerned, meat rabbit tastes just like chicken. So if you're new to it, you want to get started, I would recommend some books, because I'm always going to recommend books because knowledge is huge. And that is something you can give to your kids and they can pick up and learn. And if they see you doing that, they're more likely to pick it up. When it comes to animals, from everything in their life cycle to diseases to all the different things to look for, the whole 9 yards, I cannot recommend enough stories guides for every kind of rabbit, or not every kind of rabbit, every kind of livestock out there. It's a wealth of information. And if you're not used to doing it, if you're not growing up around it, or have mentors that can help you with it, this is the way to do it. Another thing to add to your collection would be, even if it's just gardening, would be the Encyclopedia Country Living, Carla Emery. It's kind of an expensive book, but it's one of those that it's worth it. It is a wealth of knowledge. Everything from gardening to farming to homesteading to canning and preserving your food and everything along those lines. We constantly reference it, constantly. It's one of those things that in the current state of things, not only to save money, but just to be more reliable on your own self and not have to worry about other people and the supply chain, I think any little step you can take is huge. I really, truly believe that. And if your kids see you making proactive steps to basically cut problems off before they become a larger problem, you're doing your job as a parent also. This is huge. So that's my 2 cents for today. Moms, dads, this is going to be, next few years I think are going to be really trying times. I think, just keep driving forward, keep your head up. You're not alone in this. We'll get through it.